Hey, welcome to the series of everything you need to know about Python in simplest possible way. In the series of pattern printing, so far we have seen so many patterns. In this video, we will see how we can actually print this particular pattern. So if you could carefully observe this pattern is coming completely to the right side, right? So you can observe this pattern, and in the first row we have a single character. In the second row we have two characters. In the third row we have three characters, and the characters are keeps increasing, right? We have A, we have B, we have C. Like that, this pattern is having this kind of a uniqueness. So let us go ahead and see how we can print this. So in order to print this, we have 5 rows, right? So in order to keep track this many number of rows, in order to generate this many number of rows, first of all I will use a variable rows and I will assign the value 5 here. So after that, you can observe the spaces in the left side. So first we need to print the spaces in order to get the actual pattern. So in order to keep track of the spaces, I will use a variable spaces and I will assign the spaces with how many number of spaces we have got in the first row. So for that reason, we will first count how many number of spaces we have. So for that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have got 8 spaces. So we cannot directly assign the 8 spaces because if we change the value of rows, the spaces will be affected, right? So for that reason, I will be using some formula, some logic to generate those many number of spaces. That is 2 into how many number of rows we are having minus 2. By mentioning 2 into rows, we can able to get the value 10, right? So we have 5 into 2 which is 10, 10 minus 2 which is 8. Like that we can get this particular spaces. So even if we change the value rows, that will be directly changed this particular spaces, and we can still have the spaces as we have the pattern. So later what we will be doing is that in order to keep track of these alphabets, initially we are starting with the alphabet A, right? So for that I will take the alphabet A, and we cannot directly keep track alphabets. So for that reason we will be converting these alphabets into integers and keep track of them. So for that reason we need to convert this alphabet into integers. To convert, we have a specific encoding technique which is ASCII values. So if you don't know about ASCII values and if you don't know about how to convert this ASCII alphabets into unique integer values and integer values into ASCII alphabets, watch out my first video about alphabets pattern printing, where I have explained clearly about how we can actually print this kind of a thing. So let us see how we can do in this video. So for that reason, in order to convert this particular alphabet A to its equivalent integer numbers, I will use a specific method that we have in Python, which is ORD. This ORD will convert the alphabets into equivalent ASCII codes. I will assign this value to alpha. So like that, we can able to keep track of these alphabets in terms of integer values. So going ahead, in order to generate this many number of rows, I will use a for loop. So for I in range, so now we will be generating the range of values, and the range of values would be how many number of rows we are having, right? So for that reason, I will start with the value 1 and go till the value of rows plus 1. So by mentioning this, we are starting with 1 going till the value of rows. So by the functionality of this range, we will be stopped at the rows value itself even we have mentioned rows plus 1. So to understand more clearly about this range function, watch my video about range function where you can understand clearly how this range function works. So in this for loop, I will just print the value I to know what values we have generated here. So if I execute this, we can able to see the result 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can correlate these values of I with this particular pattern here. So by this, we have actually generated 5 rows which are having here. And apart from just 5 rows, we can actually compare these values in each row. In first row, we have only one value, which is what we have in I. In the second row, we have two values, which is what we have in I. In the third row, we have three values, what we have in I. So these values are nothing but characters and alphabets. So let us go ahead and see how we can generate these many number of values in each row. So to do that, as we can observe, these are repeating, right? So in every single row, we have got those many number of values. So for that reason, as we have repeated statements, we will be using loops for j in range. So now we will be generating the range of values. So as we have discussed, the range of values should be how many number of values we are having in I. Right? So for that reason, I will start with 1 and go till the value of I plus 1. So by mentioning this, we will be stopped at the value of I itself. So in this, what I will be doing is that instead of printing this particular I will print the value alpha, which is what we are using in order to keep track of these characters, right? So now, apart from just printing this pattern value alpha, I will also format this a little bit so that we can able to get this kind of a shape. So for that, I am mentioning the end as a single space in order to generate everything in time. So after that, I will use a new line character after completion of this inner for loop. So I am printing a new line character. So by this we can able to generate new line character. So now if I execute this, we can able to get this kind of shape. We will arrange this in this shape. Don't worry for now. So you can observe in every position we are getting the values 65. So in order to get the alphabets instead of this particular values, we can use a specific method we have in Python, which is nothing but chr. By using this chr, we can convert the ASCII values of integers to alphabets. So that is why I am using chr here. So now if I execute this, we can able to see the alphabets which are A in every single position. So we need to modify this a little bit so that we can able to get this kind of values which are changing on every single row. So for that reason, as and when we have completed this inner for loop, I will be changing the alpha. So for that reason, I am mentioning alpha plus equal to 1. So by this, we will be increasing this alpha value by 1 in every single new row. So if I execute this, we can able to see the result, right? So in every single row, the alpha value will be, the characters are increased. So we have almost got the shape. The only thing we need to do is that we need to put spaces before this particular alphabets. So for that, here we are printing these values, these alphabets, right? So before this, which is nothing but as and when we enter into this outer for loop, I will be printing the spaces. So I am multiplying this a single space with the spaces variable. That is what we are using to keep track of spaces, right? So apart from that, I am mentioning this end as nothing. By default, end is having new line character. We don't want any new line, so for that reason, I am replacing this with nothing. So after that, you can observe the spaces are reducing on each iteration on every single new row. So for that reason, I will modify the spaces by reducing with -2. So now if I execute this, we can able to see the exact pattern that is what we are expecting, right? So I hope you can able to understand this logic to generate this particular pattern. So if you found any difficulty while understanding this, I sincerely suggest you to watch the video once again carefully so that you can understand it clearly. So if possible, watch my previous videos about numbers pattern printing so that you can able to understand more clearly of how I am formatting this particular thing in here. So where in those videos I have explained more clearly. So now what we will be doing is that we will dynamically take input of this particular rows here. So for that, as we want input, I am mentioning, and to generate input, I am using input. I am asking user to enter rows here. So now if I execute this, it was asking me to enter rows. Let's say I will give the value 3 here. So we can able to see the pattern completely to the right side with the value A, B, C. So now if I execute this with one more number, let's say I will give 9 here. Still we can able to see this particular pattern which is completely to the right side starting with A going till the value of I. I is nothing but the ninth alphabet, right? So like that we can able to generate this kind of pattern by any number given by the user. So I hope you can able to understand this logic, and I hope you have found this video interesting. If that is true, hit the like button. In the next video we will see how we can generate this particular pattern. So in this pattern, every single column we are getting a new and next alphabet, right? We have A in this column, we have B in this column. Like that, the alphabets are increasing by every single column instead of rows here. So in the next video, we will see. So to stay updated with my latest videos, subscribe to this channel and turn on the notifications to all so that whenever I upload any video, you will get the notification. So thank you for watching this video. See you in the next.